Hello everyone, Cody here with Scott's Nursery, and I'm going to be talking to you today about some common pests that you could find at home, and if you're ever into the garden center or to the production area, some beneficial insects that you can find. So I'm just going to go over quickly some of the common pests that you can find at home. And one being aphids. So aphids are usually found on the undersides of some of your leaves and around the stems. Now, what happens is the aphids suck on the leaves and the stems, and they suck the juices out from the plants. And that causes the plants to become distorted in color or in shape. And what happens is the plant will eventually defoliate, and if the infestation is bad enough, it'll kill the plant altogether. Aphids also secrete a certain substance called honeydew. And the honeydew, what that looks like on your plant, it'll be almost shiny and sticky, and it'll attract other pests like ants or bees, any plant or any insects that like any sugary substances. So that's a good indication to look for aphids. The second one I'm going to talk to you about are mealybug. So again, mealybug found on the undersides of leaves and stems and in the hard to reach places of like trunks and crooks of branches. And again, like aphids, they also secrete the honeydew substance. The next one I'm going to talk about are whitefly. So whitefly, again, another sucking insect found on the undersides of leaves. More easily visible, you'll see them flying around if you try to disturb the plants. And again, they will defoliate plants. You might see some distortion in the leaf shape, and they also secrete the honeydew substance. So another pest are fungus gnats. So fungus gnats you usually find when you're propagating, if there's a lot of moisture or high humidity in the air or in the soil. And what happens there is the grubs or the babies from the fungus gnats will burrow into the soil and they eat the roots of plants. So usually a symptom you might see or a sign are wilt in plants, and that's usually not from overwatering or underwatering, that's usually from the fungus gnats eating your roots. So thrips, another bad insect for your plants. You'll find them usually on the undersides of leaves, really hard to see. They're about 1 millimeter long at their adult size. And what they do is they pierce the leaves as well, and they suck out any substance that are inside the leaves. And a lot of times you'll see the leaves start to curl down around the insects. And they evolved to do that to protect themselves from other predators trying to eat them. Thrips are extremely hard to get rid of because the babies grow into the soil. So if you see adults on your plants, there's a good indication that you already have a good population and there's another population growing in the soil ready to come out for in a couple of weeks. Another bad insect, spider mites. On the tips of your new growth, you will see webbing. That is from spider mites. That's not from beneficial spiders. And basically the same as aphids and mealybugs and all those is they will pierce the leaves and they will suck all the substance out, and that webbing is basically there to protect them from any predators. Another is scale. Scale, like all the others found on leaves, stems, they look like a little brown or dark spot. And that spot is basically their shell protecting them, and underneath are the actual insects sucking all the sap from the plants. So mealybug, you'll find in crooks, all the hard to reach places. They're white and they look similar to a sow bug or a cellar bug as I call them. And they have a waxy coating which protects them from predators and from you at home if you're trying to apply an insecticide to them. So I'm just going to talk quickly about how to prevent some of those pests at home. So when buying new plants, it's always a great idea to quarantine your plants. You never know what you're bringing home with you on your plants. And it's never a good idea to assume that the plants are completely clean. You want to clean up any soil or organic matter that might be around your plants at home. That just offers another place for these pests to live and breed. Clean your pots between uses. That's really important. It's just good to disinfect them and to kill any babies or eggs that might be living on the pots. Don't reuse any of your soil. Unless you're composting, you want to make sure your compost temperature reaches about 93 degrees centigrade in order to kill any pests or fungus or pathogens in the soil. Using yellow sticky cards. So the yellow sticky cards aren't so much for prevention, but you can capture flying pests with them. And if you catch a flying pest, that's one less that's going to repopulate. You want to disinfect any pruners or scissors that you use. one cut from one plant to another, you're just transferring any like pathogens in between plants, which you don't want. Now I'm going to talk about a few chemical-free trials you can use at home. So you want to try to avoid over-fertilizing plants with a high nitrogen fertilizer. The nitrogen in fertilizer is what really makes the foliage on the plant grow. And all that new foliage is just like freshly baked bread out of the oven. And sucking insects can just sink their teeth into that so easily, and it just makes it so much easier for them to feed. Once in a while, you want to give your plants maybe a good spray with the garden hose in the summertime outside. That helps to wash off any spider mites or thrips or any weak flying insects. You can also use your shower for that as well. Use a layer of mulch in your pots or in your garden. So in your pots, you can use mulch like sand or any bark or anything like that. It makes it hard for insects, especially like thrips, for the larvae when they hatch to fall into the soil and to start to grow and repopulate. I always recommend placing tropical plants outside in the summertime. This helps with, going from the controlled environment that you control to an environment that you don't have control over. And bringing those outside usually introduces things like wind and rain, which might help push some of the insects off your plants, and maybe other beneficial insects like ladybugs to help with your aphid populations. So now I'm going to talk about the beneficial insects that we use here at Scott's. So we order in beneficial insects weekly, basically all year round. If you're ever here and you're walking around, you might see some things like this here, which are just shells of some seeds that we put the eggs into so the beneficials can grow, and then once they hatch they can fly away and do their own thing. And you might see a couple of these little containers or some of these cards hanging off of pots. They're all beneficial, and you don't want to throw those away necessarily right away. Some insects, they'll prey on multiple pests that we get here, which is kind of interesting. The idea with beneficial insects is to lower the pesticide usage, not to eliminate it completely. So an example might be, instead of spraying 3 times, if we order in beneficial insects, we only have to spray maybe once now. So you're probably wondering about all of our spring cuttings that come in and how we treat them. So we dunk them in an organic mixture of an organic insecticide and nematodes. And the insecticide is made up of spores of a fungus that attach to the hosts and basically kill them from the outside in. And the nematodes will do pretty much the exact same thing. They parasitize the insects and they kill them from the inside out. We also do a weekly spray of just the nematodes. This helps to keep some of our thrip and Fungusgnat populations down. If you have any questions about anything, you're more than welcome to come to Scott's and ask any of our lovely garden center staff or myself. Please visit us on social media at Facebook and Instagram and scottsnursery.tv. If you have any questions, please give us a call, and if you have any comments, don't be afraid to ask. So as you can see, there are many beneficial insects that are good for your plants, but there are also many insects that are bad for your plants. So if you ever have any questions, please come in and see us. Our garden center staff would be glad to help you.